With the increasing amount of interconnected smart devices and wireless communications in the world, electromagnetic radiation is becoming more and more prevalent in almost every airspace. This phenomenon is often referred to as electrosmog or electropollution. And while invisible and usually undetectable by the average person, this type of pollution is causing major problems for everyone, especially those with electro-hypersensitivity, not to mention its impacts on our environment and technology itself.
Electropollution is the electromagnetic interference that comes from any device that's connected to electricity. In mainly wireless devices are producing more electropollution with the wireless signals, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cell phones. You have a cell phone and you make a call. After 2 hours, there is biological studies that shows that it's going to produce DNA fragmentation. It's going to alter your nervous system, your brain activity, heart rate variability. And long term, there is an issue with premature aging, and there is an issue with the potential higher risk of cancer and higher risk of infertility. And environmental effects is going to alter the migration of birds, and there is a link to potential risk of extinction of bees.
Our cells are constantly attacked in stable and reactive molecules called free radicals. Oxidative stress is a term in which our internal antioxidant defense system is overwhelmed by an excessive production of free radicals. Oxidative stress has been linked with more than 75 health conditions, including brain, eyes, ears, heart, the skin, and is the root of any diseases. Electro-hypersensitivity is a condition characterized by non-specific symptoms which affected individual attribute to EMF exposure. Some common symptoms are headaches, brain fog, sleeping disorders, ringing in the ears or tinnitus, noise sensitivity, skin rashes, etc.
During the course of hundreds of environmental studies on the impacts of electropollution, one company emerged with the sole purpose of reducing electrosmog and developing a solution to this ever-growing problem. NOXTAK's electro-clean filter technology, SPIRO, is paving the way for safer and healthier standards. If organizations around the globe can make the same commitment to greener protocols, NOXTAK can help secure a healthier future for humans and nature alike.
I'm an engineer who developed electro-hypersensitivity with common symptoms like headaches, chronic fatigue, poor quality sleep, and I was trying to find a solution. That was the original motivation behind NOXTAK.
NOXTAK is a green tech company. We have a patent technology in nanotech focused in neutralize electropollution. We produce filters that are not able to neutralize any of this interference. We have electropollutions related to EMF from artificial sources. What we do with our technology is we change the polarity in the fields to behave like natural environments. And with that, we produce electrosmog-free environments.
All the problems can be related with electropollution. And now we are promoting a global census initiative to help more people suffering from this condition.
The result of a collaboration of scientists and health professionals around the globe, NOXTAK continues working towards a safer, greener way to use technology. Recognizing the technological revolution isn't going to stop or slow down, NOXTAK's filters are designed to separate out the harmful electromagnetic waves while allowing smart devices to continue running as normal.
Doral is, in fact, the first and only smart city in the state of Florida as certified by the World Council on City Data. I don't think anybody would think it's a good idea to just stop the technological advances that are going on. I think the NOXTAK solution can help not only the technologies to work better, but to also protect people from any possible health effects that those technologies may bring about. We're very happy to have a company like NOXTAK here in the city, which is studying these things and looking for solutions. I'd like to congratulate NOXTAK for winning the German Innovation Awards and the Edison Awards, which are very important awards for innovation. Companies like NOXTAK are innovative and continue to grow as the city grows.
Electropollution is everywhere, so you can use the technology because with NOXTAK is filtering that electropollution. Now I can have a normal life. I sleep better, I feel more comfortable.
We truly believe the coming future is going to be with clean technologies. And we think that with our technology, we can achieve it. And also NOXTAK is a solution for hyperconnectivity. 5G is not a problem. And IoT is going to be a reliable connectivity with NOXTAK. We have the solution for industrial facilities, for cities, and they can produce a special environments protected from this interference and have a reliable connectivity. Electropollution is everywhere. The good approach is going to be filter this pollution to coexist. It's not a problem that we cannot handle.
We can't fight against technology, and we can use it and coexist in a healthy way using nanotechnology. We are now producing human-friendly technology.
Electrosmog is a dangerous environmental toxin, but with the cooperation of every industry and sector, it can be reduced and completely avoided without making sacrifices. Learn more today about NOXTAK. Protect your health from EMF pollution. For more information, visit NOXTAK.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to me share with you today. And it's a very important for us. We are celebrating our 11th year with the NOXTAK project, and we are committed to share all the information that we have learned and we have available right now with experimental evidence. After so many years conducting research on electro hypersensitivity cases, we have already more than 1,000 cases, and we have a paper around 357 cases of EHS in the Aruba Island. And we have so many information that we can share to show you that SPIRO technology and everything that we have right now as a solution for EMF pollution and wellness enhancement is part of an understanding that's go beyond just go beyond any hypothesis, because we have experimental evidence. So we're going to have in a monthly basis a masterclass to go deep and go face by face, showing you what we know so far and in what direction we are moving forward. I can see there is a dozen of persons already connected, and this masterclass is going to be recorded. If you register for the masterclass, you will receive the link, and you will be able to see it later too. Okay? If you have any questions, any comments, anything that you want to say, my team is here and is available to provide you with answers on live during my meeting. Okay? So feel free to make any questions, leave it in the section of comments, and they will take care of that. I want to take an hour for this presentation. I don't have enough time to share everything that we know, but I'm going to introduce you with the first phase of what NOXTAK, the scientific project, was before go to a commercial phase. Thank you. Go, let's share the presentation that we have. So the NOXTAK scientific project started in 2012. I'm the director of the project. Actually, I'm an EMF researcher. I have 22 years studying the field. I started with the studies around microwave ovens, and I started to realize how dangerous the cell phone radiation could be, and I was worried about the potential risk of brain tumors. So in 2000, October of 2000, almost 24 years ago, I started an educational campaign. I write my first article around cell phone radiation, about microwave radiations. Then I started to study all the research of Dr. Nick Cherry, also Dr. William Rea from environmental medicine, about all the subjects around environmental toxins. And I was quite familiar with the term of electrosmog because I was studying in the beginning what is electromagnetic fields. I have some studies in background in physics, in material science, and in 2007 we start a scientific project that we call in Spanish SAES, Solutions for Electrosmog, Alternative Solutions for Electrosmog. And the reason that we started this project SAES in 2007 was because my wife, she's an engineer, and she was suffering from electrohypersensitivity. You see it in the video previously that we show you introducing this masterclass. So we were looking for solutions. I was not aware how difficult life could be for a person with electrohypersensitivity until I see it, until I face it directly with my wife. And at that time in 2007, I was quite aware of the solutions on the market. I was trying, and we were trying to use some of the different solutions available. Actually, an anti-radiation paint, and we tried and some specific type of anti-radiation clothes. And also we go to try some harmonizers and different alternative solutions in the market. Some of these solutions works, others don't. And sometimes my wife, she feels that, okay, this is working, but not always. I'm not feeling good always. And she can feel the Wi-Fi signals and get a headaches for 3 and 4 5 days. It was crazy. Sleep disorders, chronic fatigue, and headaches, really, really disturbing headaches. So we joined together with a multidisciplinary group of different engineers, physics, some doctors, and we tried to open a scientific project related to look for alternative solutions. And because of that, we go deep in trying to understand the core of the problem. I have some ideas about the problem of where the real cause of the problem is. And I found it because I was in 2004 listening a conference from Dr. George Carlo, and he was talking about the problem that they see in the modulation of electromagnetic wave for telecommunication signals. And I always keep in mind the problem of modulation. When we modulate the polarization of these artificial electromagnetic waves. So this is how everything happened. And when we have like 3 years, we were convinced that the problem that we need to fix was not trying to block the radiation, because actually we come to the understanding that the radiation actually was really non-ionizing radiation, and the effect was non-thermal effects. So the way that the body is reacting to this, we understand thanks to Dr. George Carlos' insights, thanks to Professor Johansen, some research that he conducted in Karolinska Institute, Dimitris Pagnagopoulos, and different others, we understand that the problem was the polarization. So I go deep in a research in material science and nanotechnology. After several years there, I became an expert and inventor of material science. I have 14 patents in material science and nanotechnology. And we were conducting this project, and we found a specific unique property that we can use to fix the problem, the core of the problem, the polarizations that happen in the fundamental level of our cells, the electrospin. So our electrons, they have a spin and a magnetic momentum related. So we understand that the problem was there in the electron spin. And in that moment, we understand that the solution was using natural properties from specific metals in the nanometric scale. And when we were ready and we understand the solution was in that specific area, using the properties of gold, we opened the NOXTAK project because we were convinced, okay, we know where we need to put our attention, our focus. So what we need is just trying to develop a solution using these properties of gold. Novel properties I'm going to show you. And that's the way everything happened. And we moved to the Aruba Island and the Dutch Caribbean to open and use the island like a living laboratory. So I want to start this masterclass showing you our conclusions about 7 years of research and what we know so far. And from that understanding, this is the approach we're taking to apply our solution that we call SPIRO. I think and truly believe that if you understand the principles behind the problem of electromagnetic pollution, if you truly understand the principles, you understand easily why the solution of SPIRO is so good and why sometimes SPIRO is not enough if you don't have enough quantities of SPIRO, or if you are not placing the SPIRO disk in the right position, in the right location, in a specific source of radiation. So let me show you everything I'm trying to share in these 45 minutes we have. Let's start with just an introduction about electromagnetic pollution, because sometimes a lot of people are talking about EMF, but I found that not always everyone is understanding really what EMF is and what EMF pollution is. So let me show you. We have electromagnetic pollution, or electrosmog. It's a problem of that is related to the current, specifically to alternated current. So if we have an electric and magnetic fields, we have it linked to the current and also to appliances. So it's when we have current, we have fields around, electrical and magnetic fields. For instance, even if you have a lamp in your bedroom and the lamp is connected to the outlet but is off, you still have an electrical field. You have static electricity there, so you still have an electrical field. But if you turn on the lamp, you start to move current through the cable, you start to move electrons, and you're producing a magnetic field. So when we're talking about electromagnetic fields linked to the current, alternated current, we need to understand these principles. And some of you that are listening to me today probably are EMF sensitive. If you are an EMF sensitive, you can feel the electrical lines from the electrical fields in the surface of your skin. And you can feel the pain, you can feel it, how they try to go through your skin. But normally remains in the skin, but the magnetic fields goes through you. So we also have electromagnetic pollution not only related to the current. We have electromagnetic pollution related to telecommunication signals. So when we use electromagnetic waves to spread information, data, audio, video, in the way you're receiving right now my masterclass, when we are using this in a wireless technologies, we are spreading electromagnetic waves that are modulated. They come with a polarization that is capable to share the code message where we are put it inside. Dr. George Carlo, and when he shared this information 20 years ago, he was saying when we put information on the carrier wave, we're changing something there. We don't know what is being changed there, but we're changing something there. Now we know when we are modulating the waves and we're using these carrier waves, we are changing the spin polarization, the quantum spin polarization of electrons in everything that is interacting with this energy, with this electromagnetic energy. So we have these two types of sources. So any home, in your home right now, you have electromagnetic pollution or electrosmog, the term used in Germany in the 70s, and you have it from these two types of sources. You have it from the alternated current and you have it from the telecommunication signals. And there is a second type of source of current. There is the direct current. Direct current normally is related to batteries that we are using. So we have alternated current, we have direct current. The direct current is more close to the natural flow of the electricity in our body, in biological systems. We can say that the biological system uses a principle of direct current. So we are really compatible with direct current systems more than with alternated current. We can say the alternated current is 10 times affecting us more than the direct current, because the alternative of polarity is not available in nature in this way, and our body cannot read this, cannot understand this. So there is a reaction, a biological response related to the alternated current. And the alternative of polarity, it changing our cell's polarity. And it's changing our cell's polarity because it's changing the polarity in the electron, the magnetic momentum in the electrons in all organs that we have, in the whole systems, in nervous systems, and different other systems in our body. So it happens collectively because it's changing the electrospin. But if we need to understand where the source of the problem is, we need to take a look at our electrical wiring system that is made of alternated current. And some of you can say, okay, so that means if I have a solar panel system in my home, are you saying that it's more healthy? Well, in reality, no, and sometimes it's even worse, because you need to have an inverter to change the voltage and convert the current from direct current to alternated current to supply the power for electrical appliances in your home that works with alternated current. And because of that, you're producing a secondary type of pollution, because you are producing what is called dirty electricity. So the dirty electricity, one of the reasons and one of the worst frequencies inside the dirty electricity is the frequency of the harmonics and transients related to the conversion of voltage between electronic system that works with direct current and electrical appliances that need alternated current. So this coexistence of two types of currents and the conversion between one and another is changing continuously the way we are interacting with field of different type of interference of frequencies. So if we have a system working totally in direct current, only in that scenario, we can say that is much, much better and compatible. So if you are going to, for instance, you're going to charge your cell phone, if you connect your cell phone to the outlet, your cell phone needs a direct current system to charge the battery, but it's taking the power from the electrical wiring of your home that is alternated current. So there is a conversion to adapt to the voltage that your battery needs in direct current system, because electronics work with direct current. So in the conversion, if you are holding the phone with your hand, you are taking the electrical flow through your body, and the electrical flow is from alternated current and with a lot of dirty electricity. So something that we learned talking with so many people suffering from radiation, with people with EMF sensitivity or electro hypersensitivity, was that the habits makes a difference, because the habits that one person is having is different than the habits of others, and sometimes that implies that this person is more exposed because he's having different bad habits using technologies. And this is one of the best examples, is the how we charge our cell phones, and where we charge it, in what time we charge it. So if you are charging your cell phone, taking power from the current, you need to keep it and don't use it. Otherwise, you are taking that to your body. If you need to use it and you need to charge it, you need to change the way you are using the power source, and you need to use a direct current system. This is a generic power bank that you can use to charge your cell phone with 10 times less radiation from the current, because you are using a principle of direct current. And if you have a meter, I have here in my office different meters. If you have a meter, you can measure electrical fields and magnetic fields. You can see it, the difference, clearly, because you can connect your cell phone. You can make the experiment easily right now. You have a meter, and you connect your cell phone to the outlet and measure how many voltage you have per meter in electrical fields. You can see it. And if you do it and connect it to a power bank, you can see that is sometimes it's 100 times less. So the habits make a difference. This is a way to understand in a practical way that EMF pollution and electromagnetic pollution is related also to the type of habits you have using technology. In that way, we need to understand a secondary thought around this. We have this type of pollution, but we need to understand that anything using electricity is producing a field. And what is a field? A field is the presence of a force in a specific space. If I say you have a field here, that means there is a force that is present between my hands, and that's the reason I can say I have a field. So the field is the force present in a specific area. So anything using electricity is producing fields. So even the power bank is producing a field. So the field, electromagnetic fields, can be, you can imagine clearly, because you can see it with your eyes, you can imagine as a bubble around the device. If the device is a cell phone using so much energy in using the battery to make the connection, you have a field a larger field, taking more space, more area. So the bubbles are bigger or shorter depending on how much power are you using to function. So if you have a electronic system that is working, electrical appliances that are working with a specific amount of power, and you can reduce the power usage, but different means, you using different tools. If you reduce the amount of power the electronic is using, you reduce the strength of the field. So any electronic device that comes with energy saving and features and is working with more energy efficiency, less energy is using, that is good because it's producing less electromagnetic pollution, if you see it from that perspective, because the field is weaker, and the large of the field is not so large, it's shorter. So any electronic device is producing these fields, and the electrical part of this field is going to remain in the surface of the skin, but if I'm holding the phone, the field that is producing the electrical field is going to remain around my skin. I can feel it in my skin. Some of you can feel it, but the magnetic field goes through the skin and go to the deep tissue inside our organs. So our organs are absorbing basically magnetic fields from these bubbles. And because it's a magnetic principle that is being really absorbed in our body, is the reason that is so easily changing our magnetic momentums in our electrons that are changing our cellular communications and our cells polarity. So that's the problem. You have electrical field lines from a high voltage lines outside your home. If that's happening, you have most of the electrical field lines are shielded by the surface of the building, and they do not enter the interior of the house. But because it's flowing electrons, okay, are producing also magnetic field lines, because it's moving electrons, current is there. So the magnetic fields lines cannot be shielded and continue inside the building. Maybe you can say, wait a minute, Joaquin, are you saying that anything of the electrical fields can go through the ceiling? No, some of these electrical lines will remain around the building, but some can go through, but it's only, sometimes it's 10%, depending on the material, 15%, 20%. Most remain outside. But if you have windows, normally the electrical fields can go through the window easily. So this is one of the things that we need to keep in mind. And this is the reason that when we are interacting with cell phones radiations coming from a cell phone's antenna, if you are seeing the cell phone's antenna through the window of your office, is different if the cell phone's antenna is in the other side of your office, but you don't have any window on that side. So the way that you are interacting with the radiation is differently, because if you can see it, some of these impulses are more also connected with electrical impulses. So it's differently, even if the people say that it's not, but it's really one of the most common things that we can see in any cases. Residential areas, you see that you have persons with extreme sleep disorders in one side of the house, in the others don't. And the difference is the windows. So through the windows, a lot of the radiation from outdoor can go through. So the problem is related to current and telecommunications. It's basically that. So what we know so far, after 12 years conducting the scientific project, and basically about two and a half years and 100% commercial developments that we are conducting worldwide, and also selling in e-commerce and to resellers and distributors in more than 17 countries. We are getting feedback. We are getting feedback from different environmental doctors, from different specialists, health coaches, clinical nutritionists, and we're getting more feedback in the last 2 years from around 3,500 different cases that we know, and we are confirming the same insights and conclusions we get when we have the scientific project running in Aruba for 7 years. And we learned this. Before go to our insights, our conclusions, let me give you an introduction to the NOXTAK project. This is my wife and I. In 2020, we won the Edison Awards as a material science formulation in nanotechnologies, a very prestigious award here in the US. And that picture is related to our headquarters in our Aruba office. We were in the second building. We have our labs on the left side and our administration offices on the right side. We run so many tests there. And we set specific objectives or goals, basically goals for the NOXTAK project. And when we started in 2012, we get like a 6 months designing the project and trying to get different approaches from different type of experts. Okay, what we need to do, what type of tests we need to run, what type of technical tests, biophysical tests. And thanks to that, we start with this. And one of the things that we understand was that we need to understand the background radiation levels on the island of Aruba, trying to understand it, because if we understand how the background radiation it's behaving in the city, we want to know how it behaves, how it changed, and how it changed in the different residential areas. They have 5-star big hotels with thousands of rooms and different Wi-Fi connections, even in the pools and everywhere. So we were capable to measure also this specific location, go to the airport, industrial facility. They have a national park, even one of the sides of the national park. It was not, no one can go with cars, with any of technology, so we can compare natural fields and artificial fields environments. They have different cruisers, and we can see the difference. So we start this project to measure the background radiation levels in the microwave spectrum since January 2013, and we finish in 2020. And for 7 years, we saw the difference of the deployment of new technologies, the deployment from 3G to 4G. And actually, we start to see the difference when they go from 4G to 5G, and how the radiation was higher. Also, we learned so much about how the residential areas, they were also coexisting with industrial facilities in the island. It was crazy how the radiation changed during the day. In some EMF sensitive person that we found there, it was just single ladies they were exposed to industrial exposure during the day because they have a house in a close proximity to industrial facilities. So it was very good. We get so much experimental evidence. We have some previous belief that was broken, and some new insights we get, and we gain to a new perspective, a new outlook of the problem, and it was very good. So one of the goals of the project, the NOXTAK project, was the monitoring background radiation levels. Also, the research on electrohypersensitivity. We have some ideas. We studied some of the electrohypersensitive symptoms with my wife and a couple of other colleagues, and they also was suffering from this electrohypersensitivity. But we need more data, recollect more data, see more cases. So we tried to go deeply. Sorry, this sometimes happen in the computer. I don't know why. Sometimes what we do is, okay, we need to make a survey, and with the survey we can know if there is person suffering with these same symptoms, if they have the same signs and symptoms related to this. So we were there, and we found there was a federation in the Netherlands, in the Dutch. They have a survey since 2000, the Dutch Federation for Electro Hypersensitivity. So we get in touch with the Dutch Federation. Part of my team, they were Dutch people, so they interact with them in Dutch, and we learn so much from the Dutch Federation for Electro Hypersensitivity. And because of that, we take the survey they used. It was around 77 symptoms. They have a map, and they understand the different 77 symptoms in different, like 100 questions. It was a very comprehensive survey, but take so much time. And with the multidisciplinary working group that we have in the NOXTAK project, has an advisory scientific board, we came to the conclusion that we need to reduce the survey to do it in the whole island, as many people as we can reach. So we work with some specific doctors, and they help us to reduce these 77 questions the Dutch Federation had. We reduce this to 29 symptoms and signs that we can ask to anyone and get the preliminary idea if they having some issues with electromagnetic radiation. So this is everything related that some of you that know me, you know that we launched IFIA Institute and the IFIA Foundation, a non-profit organization. We're committed to make a global census of electro-hypersensitive cases, and we're committed to study more around electro-hypersensitivity. We are using nowadays 4 surveys, not only the signs and symptoms. We reduced it from 29 symptoms to 25 2 years ago, and to make it easy to everyone. And we are also using other surveys, and we have from the survey A, B, C, and D. You can see it, and you can find it in our website of IFIA. We have in different language. You can do it, and you will receive a response in 2 of 4. The other ones, we are still working in a protocol, a scientific protocol, to give you a score. And these surveys come from this project, and that's one of the things I want to share to you today. So the third objective or goal was field testing of the SPIRO formulas, the characterization of the material. We need to understand also if the SPIRO card was enough to what. So we run technical tests in laboratories, but something that we learned was what you have in a laboratory is not what you have in the field, because the laboratory is a very controlled environment. You are just adding specific frequencies controlled to see how the frequency is behaving, how the radiation is being propagated around the propagation pattern around the antenna of the electronic device. So, but when you go to the field, and the real conditions are so different, because you have thousands and thousands and thousands of different signals from everywhere. And you have different near-field exposure to alternated current. You have different type of things that are present in a specific space that is totally different. So we don't want to just rely our findings only in a technical laboratory that say, okay, that's working. We want to test it in the field, and test it with people sensitive, people with electro-hypersensitivity. And this is what we did. And we found 34 people suffering from electro-hypersensitivity that actually they join as a group, and they help us to funding the development of the final formulation of SPIRO. The formula of SPIRO, it took 17.6 alternated formulations until in the formula 77, 2 years later, we found the best and stable formulation that we have today, and we patent worldwide. So the NOXTAK project tested in the first 34 cases, and we opened this crowdfunding to complete the funding, because I started as a private capital. My wife and I, our savings, all our savings, we put it here, and we developed the project. And when we were run out of cash, we looked for this crowdfunding from these people, and they help us prepaying basically their solutions. And after several years, we were with them, and we always updated the solutions, and we're thankful for that help. Then we move forward, we prove our concept, and we patent, and we get the funding from a financial fund, and we complete the scientific project. We get the law and all that type of things, and we complete it, and we start as a startup to commercial phase. So these three goals started the NOXTAK project, and the group of engineers and psychologists, nutritionists, doctors, and architects, osteopaths, health therapists, chiropractors help us a lot on this process. I will share you more about this in the phase 2 of this masterclass. So we have a confirmed principles of the NOXTAK project regarding electromagnetic pollution. Confirmed experimental evidence. Non-ionizing radiation, when generated by human-made sources, have a harmful effect on health and the environment. They are ultra-weak radiation that carry a disturbance in fundamental particles that can be described as a quantum interference. Confirm a second confirmation that we have. All type of radiation emitted by artificial source disrupt the function of human cells. This is because of radiation from artificial sources is polarized, something that I already said. And this effect disturbs the spins, the magnetic moments, and the SOI, spin-orbit interaction of the fundamental particles and that is interacting with. So this is the principle of polarization. This is the first paper that goes out in the 2015. Polarization is a key difference between man-made and natural electromagnetic fields in regard to biological activity. And also, this is related to the modulations. This is a third principle that we have. Confirm the cells are altered due to the modulation caused by changes in the polarity of radiation spins. This results in abnormal stimulation of the autonomic nervous system and brain activity when the radiation is absorbed in our body. One of the main alterations is the abnormal stimulation of electrical receptors on the cellular membrane known as voltage gate ion channels, located on the cell's membrane, especially the voltage gate calcium channels. Such stimulation modifies the life and functionings of the cell. So these channels are open because are working with a principle of voltage, and this stimulation, artificial stimulation, is open these gates, and we are receiving more calcium intracellular. So in general, the fifth confirmed experimental evidence we have, this cause cellular alteration, which in turn leads to a chain of reaction and disruption in cellular communication, altering the electrical potential, increasing the production of reactive oxygen species, oxidative stress, and higher production of free radicals and inflammatory responses in the body. Oxidative stress causes inflammation and premature aging by accelerating the deterioration of cells, which can lead to specific health symptoms and problems. Oxidative stress has been linked to more than 75 different health conditions. So you don't need to make a case that radiation is producing this type of cancer. You need to understand that in short term, there is a biological response of oxidative stress producing a specific type of free radicals. The antioxidant defense system is not capable to neutralize these free radicals. Some of the free radicals are related to oxygens, also to nitrogen. And these free radicals are affecting your health, producing more oxidative stress, more inflammation responses in your body. And it's affecting you because also it's increasing anything that is not working already in your body. Some of the problems of the radiation is not that it's not producing a specific disease in your body. It's actually amplifying a problem that you already have. So if you are dealing with something in your body that is not working, the problem with the radiation from artificial sources is you have a treatment and you have this anti-nutrient that is called electropollution or electrosmog, and the anti-nutrient is working as a sabotaging because it's sabotaging your health and it's attacking you more, and your antioxidant defense system is not capable to deal with this. So you have a oxidative stress higher than if you don't have this electromagnetic pollution. So we need to understand this, and we need to understand that so many diseases, so many health problems, we can relate it to oxidative stress. Of course, you can have oxidative stress from different environmental reasons, and bad habits, bad food, chemical toxins, mold is a big problem. Poor quality air. You can have a blue light, artificial blue light. You can have different reasons to produce more oxidative stress, but electromagnetic pollution for sure is one of the main because it's 24/7 everywhere. Doesn't matter where you are exposed to electromagnetic radiation from artificial sources, from telecommunication signals or satellites, receiving or cell phones, 4G or 5G. So you are being exposed and being bombarded for different pulses and waves in a different frequencies in the whole spectrum that are changing your cell's polarity and producing more oxidative stress. These describe biological effects that are known as non-thermal effects. Electromagnetic fields from artificial sources are ultra-weak radiation that do not carry enough energy, 5,000 watts, to cause a thermal effect and heat tissue. So some of the tests that nowadays are being made since the beginning from the industry to see if this device is healthy or not, it doesn't make any sense at all, because the mechanisms that are affecting us are not thermal effects, are non-thermal effects. So you can measure with thermal effects. You can measure trying to figure out is producing enough thermal effects. And that is a fact. The non-ionizing radiation from technology due to its disturbance interferes with cellular communication, which is based on electrical communication centered on polarities. Such disruption results in a decrease in body voltage and the onset of discomfort levels. This is something big. The next principle that we confirm with experimental evidence is big for some of you because you already are trying to protect your health from radiation using these principles. And please listen to me and open your mind, because this was my same approach. My first approach to deal with this problem was the same that probably you have. And you need to keep in mind that we are saying something that is come not from a hypothesis, come from experimental evidence. We see it in so many cases. The non-terminal harmful effects cannot be 100% blocked. So if you're trying to block, any attempt at blocking will leave a trace and accumulation of electromagnetic pollution in the surrounding environment and disruption in the quantum fields in transfer through tunneling effect, which will equally affect biological species. We saw it in cases with people with the sleep disorders living in some Faraday cages, and they will still have a problem. They get the relief in the beginning, and they feel better and say, oh, wow, I can feel the difference. But through the years, they get sick. If you are not get rid of this blocking approach, you will get sick for sure. I saw it for so many years in so many cases, and we'll explain why. And let me tell you this, even the 0.01% of the radiation emitted by a cell phone alters the functioning of a human body cells. According to the 2013 Bioinitiative report, there is no safe level of exposure to microwave radiation, especially when it comes from the artificial polarization in its spins, in the spin, electron spin. So, this is very important. Sometimes we have block systems that are blocking 99% of radiation. There is a side effect of this I'm not going to mention right now. But the thing is, the disturbance is what it changed the magnetic momentum. The polarization changed the magnetic momentum in our cells, in our electrons. And this could happen if you are interacting with a radiation that comes even 0.01% of power intensity or density like a cell phone is using. So if you have a system that is blocking the radiation, the disturbance is still there. You need to keep in mind. Electromagnetic pollution not only affects humans, but all biological systems. This includes pets, plants, and all of nature, disrupting bird migration patterns and putting bees at a greater risk of extinction. So, blocking radiation will derive in a more interference in the spaces outside where you are not blocking. So inside, you don't have any radiation that is going through, but the disturbance, the quantum disturbance can go through tunneling effect. But outside, you have a chaos, a bigger chaos because of the blocking approach. Your neighbor, even he can receive maybe more interference, more pollution, because something is bouncing and going to the house of your neighbor. So what we're seeing right now is some cases that we are running experimental tests in a specific location. If we can see some bigger interference in real chaotic patterns of electromagnetic pollution related to blocking approach. But the most important thing to understand here is you need to interact with the natural flow. And this interference system in microwave are really altering the natural flow of microwaves signaling of biological system in all the spaces that you are in. And one of the biological systems that use microwave signals to communicate is the microbiome. The microbiome is using light. And we have different light spectrum that we can relate to some specific communication of microbiomes. You have a microbiome in the air, microbiome in the soil, you have a microbiome in your skin, you have a microbiome inside your body, a microbiome in your brain, in your gut. The microbiome is signaling in electrical impulses that you can measure in microwave. The microwave natural flow is affecting when you are blocking radiation, you are blocking microwaves artificial signaling, but you are blocking natural signaling. So the LARA principle, as low as reasonable achievable, is useful and necessary to promote more efficient and less electromagnetic interference generating technologies. Technologies in compliance with the LARA principle should still be considered as contaminants, and the residual emissions should be filtered and controlled. And we can apply the LARA principle even if we are not blocking the radiation. Because when you understand the engineering side of the development of electronics, this is one of the goals that we have in the SPIRO, in the development of the SPIRO and in sharing about the SPIRO products, is we know that we can change and improve the electronic engineering, how we are designing the electronic boards, how we're designing the electrical systems, and we can make some enhancements of the system that will reduce tenfold the emission that is being generated by an electronic device. We can use softwares. If we can make a new type of setup in a software, in a Wi-Fi router, and we can reduce even 20-fold the amount of radiation, increasing a pin, increasing some delays, but without affecting the functionality of the whole router. And we can add the filtering approach of a SPIRO to take out the disturbance. So in a SPIRO, we are not saying, don't worry, use as much power as you can. You can be sure that it's not going to affect anyone. No, we're saying we can do it better. We can develop new and better technologies, clean technologies. And the remaining radiation present, we can filter it. That's the whole thing. So anti-radiation clothing doesn't neutralize the contamination and interference of these radiations in the surrounding environment, but blocks the passage of radiation at the specific points into the body. This is not healthy in the long term, as it blocks the necessary interaction between the human body, the earth magnetism, and the natural frequencies of the environment. This is a paper explaining some of the principles that why you need to keep in mind there is some risk and side effects. But even they are talking about some technical tests made in laboratories. What I'm saying comes beyond a paper. What I'm saying is what I observed in experimental cases with real people in real conditions, conducting biophysical tests and technical tests using software to study how the signals of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and 4G and 5G are behaving in these spaces with these approaches using microwave blocking systems of radiation. Anti-radiation systems used in indoor environments such as carpet, curtains, paints, and covers have proven to be effective in the short term, but sometimes they can be a major source of interference in the environment, and case studies have shown that they can create beams of microwave radiation that can penetrate buildings. Keep in mind, anti-radiation accessories for mobile phones, tablets, and laptops alter the proper functioning of these devices and make them produce more radiation in an attempt to transmit or receive a signal. This causes the device to work harder, which in turn reduces the battery life. But they will try to work harder and make a more powerful connection because they are somehow thinking there is a poor signal in the space they are, the area. So use more battery. In the end, it's more radiation. Only EMI, electromagnetic interference, control with active filtering of harmonics and transients, dirty electricity, proper grounding, and isolation of alternating electrical fields are the recommended practices. It's important to know that this system should not introduce additional disturbance to the electrical system or the surrounding environment. Actually, what we are saying is we are against the blocking approach of microwave radiation, where we are in favor of the implementing and deployment of systems to reduce the EMI to inhibits the pass of harmonics in the electrical wiring. That's the reason that we have in NOXTAK the Strum Master actually is made to take out 200,000 harmonics of interference of dirty power, but it's also made with the SPIRO technology. And the SPIRO technology inside is here because otherwise the people with the EMF sensitivity, they can handle the use of filters, dirty power filters. This is a fact. We know for sure because we saw it in different cases. Some people with electro hypersensitivity, they have issues using a different others dirty power filters. They are very good manufacturers, real working, real inhibits the harmonics and trances in the current, are very good in terms of engineering of electronics, but they are producing a field that is full of disturbances. So the people suffering from this are not capable to use dirty filters, dirty power filters. So Strum Master is made with SPIRO technology inside in order that people with the electro hypersensitivity can use a filtering approach to take out the dirty power from their homes and offices. And that's the reason we made the Strum Master. So we are just close to the hour, sharing with you some information. I still have so many things to share, but that's the reason I want to just make a stop and the next masterclass continue the process. I want to start with this because if we take time and really take time to understand the principles behind the problem and how some solutions are not solutions in long term, we will really achieve an electromagnetic hygiene in our spaces because you know the enemy and you know how some solutions are also part of the problem. So let me close with 3 more conclusions and a stop before go deep in SPIRO. So any building with electromagnetic hygiene should have an adequate artificial lighting system that is free of flickering, as well as light temperatures and brightness intensities suitable for human activities. Similarly, the importance of natural light sources should not be overlooked, as they are a significant factor in the health of the space. Always the priority is the natural light. We always need to prioritize the natural light. And we know that light is an electromagnetic wave. So if we want to have a space with electromagnetic hygiene, actually in IFIA Foundation, we're creating a standard to certify spaces with electromagnetic hygiene. Actually, we call EHE certification program. EHE stands for electromagnetic hygiene environments. If you want to achieve an electromagnetic hygiene space, you need to take care of the light. The light environment make a difference. So the current, the dirty power, filters like the Strum Master, good design, a lot of principle, microwave filtering approach with the SPIRO disk interacting in the spaces, in the car, in the phone, filtering the electronic devices directly, and taking care of the light. Subtle energy products. This is a second type of approach. It's a different type of approach, what I want to say. Subtle energy products focus on the emission of negative ions, mask the symptoms and signs of electro-smog effects in people, as they alleviate ion imbalances in the environment and can create less stresses environment. However, these products are not in any way modifying the fundamental disruption in the spin of artificial radiation, which, when absorbed, is the element that produces the long-term harmful health effects. So, this is the harmonizers. You can get a relief of signs and symptoms. Actually, basically, all the type of symptoms you have, the signs in your skin, with some harmonizers. So that they are good for that, but they are not changing the core of the problem, that is the disturbance in the quantum spin polarization. So, in a sense, are good to get a relief some specific symptoms, but it's a solution that is a partial solution because it's not taking care of the cause. So the real problem of the cellular communication and the oxidative stress in your body, the changing in the way your body is reacting inside the tissue, are still there. Actually, Dr. Magda Havas, I think she was the one to say in 2019 in an EMF conference in California. I think it was her that she say, okay, the harmonizers can work, but you will still get cancer. And the reason is that because you are masking the symptoms. So SPIRO is not the same as the harmonizers that are outside. Some subtle energy products may carry emissions from radioactive particles, and studies have shown that they are not recommended to be worn in close proximity to the human body. Similarly, harmonization systems based on natural resonance frequencies do not modify the original disruption of radiation, and at the best represent intermittent protection for individuals by strengthening the natural bioelectrical field. Are very powerful harmonizers using natural powerful frequencies are very good to enhance the strength of your biofield. The bioelectrical field are very good for that, will increase the natural compensation mechanisms in your body to deal with the bombardment of the electrosmog or electropollution. But it's not changing the distortion. This quantum disturbance is not being changed in the space. It's still happening there. Your body and your water molecules are still being polarized in phase with these electromagnetic fields that you're interacting with. SPIRO inhibits that your water molecules in your body get polarized in phase with the external electromagnetic fields, thanks to a principle that is called SPIRO fields. And that's the second part of our masterclass for next time. How the SPIRO fields behave and how they're capable to do what they do and why they are not a simple harmonizer. Even if they are working as a harmonizer, in a sense, is not a harmonizer. It's not a material that's adding ions to the space, like a harmonizer negative ions principle. It's not going to protect you. You will feel better because it's just negative ions, but it's not a protection. So this is not the same. But it's important to understand how behave as a filter. Because when you have poor quality air, what you need to do is filter the air. Use a filter, a properly good system to filter the poor quality air. The same with the water. The water is with so many contaminants. So you use a filter. That's the solution. Electromagnetic waves are not the problem. The problem is the artificial polarization in the electromagnetic waves being used for telecommunications or being generated by alternated current systems. So electromagnetism is one of the four fundamental forces, universal forces. We need this electromagnetism. So the EMF are good and we need EMF. What we don't need, and that our body reacting is affecting the head, is the electromagnetic fields behaving artificially because of the polarization that we put in these waves to spread messages and make telecommunications. Okay? So I will avoid to go further with more slides, and I will stop here. And the best is going to be that we can join for a secondary masterclass of this longer masterclass about the NOXTAK project and the SPIRO fields and our understanding about the problem and how the SPIRO fields works. And I'm seeing that some of you are making some questions, and there is Matthias there providing some answers. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you for everybody to being here. It's a pleasure to me. I expect to keep doing this in a monthly basis. And sometimes we will do the masterclass in YouTube and we will join in a private Zoom in the future. We will let you know when we are going to do it and maybe have like a mastermind process and listen to you and see you and know more about you. But let's start with this. You will receive the record of this video, and I will see you next month to keep digging in this. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon.